Hey everybody, it's Emma. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Thank you so much for joining me today. Subscribe if you are already, and turn on my post notifications so you get notified every time I upload a video. We're just gonna go ahead and get straight into all of this because we are talking about my 6-star books today. I don't know if everybody ranks like this. I know not everybody ranks like this. Some people are very finicky with giving out 5 stars. They don't give out 5 stars to a ton of books, but I, on the other hand, I like a lot of books. And I'm not the type of person that's like, this is a 4.75. Yeah, no, I just go ahead and I'm like, yeah, 5 stars. If you follow me on Goodreads, you'll see that I have a lot of 5-star and 4-star books. I just be giving out those 5 stars like it's nobody's business. But I do have a tier of 6-star books, which it's 6 out of 5 stars, so it's the best of the best. And today I figured I would talk about my 6-star books with you guys. I only have 6 of them. I have 6 6-star books. First of all, I've got an Emily Henry book and a Taylor Jenkins Reid book to talk about. We are going to start off with Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. She is quickly becoming one of my favorite authors. I've read Malibu Rising, After I Do, and One True Loves, and so far Malibu Rising has been my favorite. I actually didn't expect it to be my favorite. Reading the plot of the books, I liked the sound of One True Loves the best, but the way she wrote this book, it's just a masterpiece. Like, I felt like I was watching a movie the whole time, and I could just really get into the minds of every single character. If you don't know what this is about, it's about the Riva family, and you literally see from like one generation to the next their whole entire life story. So good. They're a very famous family, so it's fun to get into the minds of these famous people. But the main point of the book is the night that the Rivas throw this giant party and it gets out of hand and all of this stuff gets uncovered, and you're basically like watching a reality TV show. But it also was giving kind of like Notebook vibes, how in the movie The Notebook they're reading and then it blah 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 blah, blah goes back in time and like shows you those snippets from back in time, and then you'll see him reading to her again and then it goes back in time, kind of like that. That's how I pictured it in my brain whenever I was reading it. Was like there's a narrator, then it went back in time, the narrator's talking, it went back in time. I don't know, it was so good. My next book is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This is a very controversial opinion because this is a lot of people's least favorite Emily Henry book. I'm just a People We Meet on Vacation girl. I love this book so much. I actually want to reread it soon just because I love it so much. Alex and Poppy hold a giant place in my heart, and it's also my favorite trope of books. If you don't know what this is about, let me go ahead and tell you. So the plot of it is basically like they met in college, so like it goes from friends to lovers, and then something happens where they're not friends anymore and they stop talking for a few years, and then they eventually meet back up and they reconnect and try to rekindle their relationship. It's also a single bed trope, so you know something's gonna happen if they're sharing one bed. It's like dual timeline, kind of like you see the past and the present. They became college friends and then they started going on a trip with each other every summer, and so you get to see all of their past trips from whenever they were friends in college and that kind of stuff. And then you also get to see the trip that they're on in the current timeline, trying to fix their relationship and that kind of stuff. I think another reason why I love this book so much is because one of their past vacations they took was to New Orleans, and I was living in New Orleans at the time that I was reading this book, so I could really put myself in that scene, and that was a lot of fun. My third book is Family of Liars by E. Lockhart. I don't have my physical copy with me because someone's borrowing it, but this is what it looks like. This is actually the second book in the duology of We Were Liars. So you start with We Were Liars and then you read Family of Liars, and We Were Liars is definitely a 5-star for me. That's also a controversial opinion. A lot of people don't like that book whatsoever, but I actually really enjoyed it. And then I read Family of Liars, which is the second book, and I actually enjoyed that one so much more. It was so good. It's YA and it's more of like a thriller than a romance book. That one is more of like a thriller mystery, but there's also a little bit of romance in it, which I really enjoyed the added romance. If you don't know what it's about this family who owns a whole island a whole island. You heard that right. They own a whole island and they spend their summers on this island, and you basically just get to see all of the mischief that they get up to as they spend those summers with their cousins on the island. So that's what We Were Liars is about. And then Family of Liars is about the parents of the children in the first book. So it's like the origin story of how the family became liars. Yeah, basically just like the origin story of the family and why they're called liars, why they call themselves liars, and that kind of stuff. But it is so good. And if you're wanting a break from the romance but you don't like books that completely lack romance, these are really good books for you. They're also YA, like I said, so the writing style is very easy to read, so they're quick reads because they're easy to read. But yeah, that's my third book. And then finally, you guys know there had to be multiple Colleen Hoover books on here. Obviously, Coho has made multiple of my 6 stars. We are going to start off with Hopeless. Pretty much the whole Hopeless series, I would say, is like a 6-star series. But Hopeless itself, I'm gonna go ahead and say, is a 6-star book because as much as I loved Losing Hope as well, Hopeless is the very first book you read in this series, and it's what gets you hooked. It really is. It's so good. This book is about Sky and Dean. This is from Sky's POV and Losing Hope is from Dean's POV. Colleen Hoover is the best at doing these crazy plot twists, but there's like 7 in this book. Okay, that's an exaggeration. There's at least 3 different plot twists in this book, and it's just so good. And like I said, it is a series, but you figure out everything that happens in this book because this book wraps itself up, then Losing Hope wraps it up because you already know how things end in this book. You're just looking at everything from his point of view in the other book. And then you've got a novella called Finding Cinderella, and that is between Dean and Sky's best friends. And then you read All Your Perfects, and that's a completely different storyline. But then you read Finding Perfect, and that's the book that ties in this series and All Your Perfects. And Colleen Hoover is just a genius for that. Then we've got the iconic It Ends With Us. My very first Colleen Hoover book that I read. I started off with a bang and I've been hooked ever since. This book is so good. This is another one that I want to reread soon because I just want to feel those feelings again. This is about Lily, and she starts to fall in love with this surgeon, doctor, whatever you want to call him, named Ryle. And then eventually throughout the book we find out that he is not the nicest guy. Definitely check trigger warnings for this book because there are some scenes that I had to do a double take on because I did not believe that that just happened. We've also got a third main character named Atlas Corrigan. That's who she fell in love with whenever she was younger. This isn't dual timelines necessarily, but you get the point of view from this current timeline, and then you also get letters that Lily wrote to herself back in the day, and that's how you see the past timeline. Colleen Hoover's also coming out with a second book to this in October called It Starts With Us, and she did just post about how it's not a prequel, so it doesn't take place before this book. It takes place right where this book leaves off, so that's exciting. It is a sequel. It will be a little duology. This book holds such a big place in my heart, and that is why it's 6 stars. And then finally on my list of 6-star books, Reminders of Him by, once again, Colleen Hoover. This book is the only book that's made me genuinely bawl my eyes out. I used to not even be the type of person that cried at movies. I never cried at anything, and this book made me literally bawl my eyes out. I'm not joking, for probably the whole second half. Ugly crying, like can't see, had to take a break from reading because I had so many tears in my eyes, but in a good way. It's because Colleen Hoover just really knows what she's doing. She knows how to make you feel all of the emotions. She knows how to make you sympathize with the characters. She knows how to make you get in the minds of the characters. You feel like you're going through what they're going through, and you just feel so bad for them, like they're real people. This is about Kenna and Ledger. Kenna served time in prison for, on the back it says, a tragic mistake, which it definitely was, but you'll find out when you read it what she did. While she was in prison, she had a baby, and when she gets out, she goes and tries to find her daughter and have a relationship with her daughter, but there are people standing in the way of her doing that. And then she meets Ledger, and Ledger complicates things even further, but they connect immediately. You basically just see her trying to have a relationship with her daughter while also trying to have a relationship with Ledger, but ultimately trying to do what's best for her daughter, and if that's not having her in her life, then she doesn't want that. But it's just so good. Those were all of my 6-star books. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Comment down below if I gave you any recommendations. Also comment down below your 6-star books. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much. I love you all so much. Make sure you subscribe, like, all of that YouTube stuff, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.